Have you ever had one of those days when your brain's been just a little fuzzy? Now, I've run a series of workshops, 4 workshops in 5 days, and I was late last night to bed after a night watching Irish music and singing along and watching the Irish dancing in Limerick. So I may not be performing at my best, but fuzzy thinking and fuzzy contracts are something we really need to avoid. Today's a day for maybe catching up on some Wimbledon or doing some invoicing. It's not for writing detailed documents. Because fuzziness when it comes to contracts can result in problems. A few years ago, we had the doors in our house replaced, and the contractor made some random assumptions about the size of the doors, where they were going to be hung, how they were going to be hung, whether they were standard size. And it all got a bit icky. I didn't have a contract. I didn't have anything written down to say what their assumptions were. I didn't have anything to say whether door handles, door furniture, door frames that might need replacing were included in the price. I just had a nice round figure. It all got extremely icky. They were unhappy for doing work that they weren't expecting. I was unhappy for being left with a house that wasn't actually complete anymore. It went all horribly wrong. Contrast that with a few years later when we had some roofing work done. We knew that some of the tiles on our roof, which were rosemary concrete tiles, very popular in the 1940s, had cracked and needed replacing. And the person who quoted didn't have the ability to take a drone and check how many tiles would need replacing. And actually it wasn't until they took some tiles off that it was obvious whether the tile underneath was also cracked. So their quote didn't cover the full cost. And I said, well, I'm happy to pay, you've done the work. And they said, well, no, we feel a bit bad about it, so we won't charge you the full price. Now, we both ended up happy with the deal. So they had made assumptions. They had been clear what those assumptions were, but when the assumptions proved to be wrong, they did a deal on the rest. So the doors went icky, still makes me feel bad and quite sick when I think about it now. The roof, well, we moved on. I would refer them for further work. I would use them again. I would use them for further projects. The first contractor, the door contractor, wouldn't recommend. I didn't like the way they behaved. I particularly didn't like the way they bullied me into paying before we'd agreed the work was completed. So being clear in a contract can make all the difference between how someone feels at the end of the project, can make a difference of whether or not you can charge what you want to charge, can make a difference as whether it feels like a success for your client. All these things are really important, and clarity, precise clarity on the scope, on the terms, on the aims, on the risks are really important. Making sure your contract cannot be misunderstood is really critical. So it's really important that when we look at contracts, it makes sense not just to those of us who've been involved in those discussions, but to somebody else. So it's not just clarity for me and my roofing contractor or my door contractor, but it's clarity for somebody else who picks it up, a QS, an adjudicator, a litigator, a judge. So clarity and certainty shouldn't be based on assumptions in our head, fuzzy thinking, ambiguity, or personal knowledge. It should be really clear, really crisp, exactly what you want that contract to say, and so that everyone who reads it understands it's the same way. So focus on clarity and asking better questions, because the more questions you ask, the more clarity you can create. The more assumptions you've got, well, it starts to look a bit fuzzy. So create certainty by asking great questions and responding to them in your contracts. Because good, clear, certain contracts can safeguard your business without annoying your clients.